Internet, and welcome to the show Do You Physics. Today we're going to be discussing hardcore metal yoga, magical alien dialysis, and the armor of Nope.
The armor of Nope?
I didn't go over these before.
No.
No, we didn't, did I? I'm HamsterBomb, joined today by Kimothy, and of course we're talking about Samus.
Of course.
We're finally bringing back Do You Physics. We wanted to do this for a while, and our last episode, the one that we kind of had to stop on, was supposed to be our first in a larger series of going through characters that are in Super Smash Bros. It was supposed to be happening before the game even came out. So, yeah, it's been out for a long time now. But we still want to go back and do some of these.
Good job. We do great things here.
If anything, the roster's getting bigger and we have more crazy characters that we can do at Do You Physics Episode 4. This one is kind of coming off of another episode that we were going to tie this in before, but there was too much to talk about. So for Samus, we brought her up in the Infinite Ammo episode briefly, and just for that whole half of it, go listen to that podcast instead, because that's just the Infinite Ammo. There's so many other weird things that Samus does.
Yeah, but she's so awesome.
But we gotta figure out, can she work?
I never even really played a Metroid game, but I love Samus. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate
Samus is
for
the
that.
bomb. Why? Why would you get a lot of hate for that?
I don't know, because
You're
they'll
allowed
be like,
to-
go play Metroid, you idiot! That's what they're gonna do.
I've seen Kim try and play Metroid,
It's bad.
and
It's
I don't
bad.
know if it's the platforming or what. How
I
many,
am not good with platformers.
like, how many tries did it take for you to get out of the scripted, might I mention, introduction sequence in Super Metroid?
Yeah.
Maybe like 3-4 tries with me and another person trying to help you and like, no, jump over
It
there.
was like
Jump over-
30 minutes. It
took-
was bad.
It was painful. Like, it's scripted so that you can't die there, but somehow you found a way multiple times.
yeah, I'm just really bad with platformers.
She did manage to beat the Chozo statue in the beginning of that, though. So, I mean, she wasn't
That's all
getting
I
better. She
played.
just didn't
Done.
keep playing it. Yeah, she didn't keep going. But anyway, Samus does a lot of weird, crazy things eventually as you go on through the games, and she has a lot of staple things. Those are the things we're going to talk about, not like the one-off really strange things that Samus has managed to pull off, but we have 3 really big things I wanted to talk about in terms of here. So first off, just a little backstory on what Samus is, because, I mean, of course, Samus was first a human, but she's not, I don't know, she's still human,
Magical alien dialysis.
yeah, the magical alien dialysis. So, according to her backstory, which is actually canon from an old manga, it's weird, and it's alluded to in some of the games to prove that it was
there's
real.
really no story and like
Oh, there's story.
The first game.
The first game, even still, there was a decent amount.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I never
There
played
was.
them. I never
Compared
played
to
them.
other NES games, yeah, there was a good amount. She's not talkative, is probably where you're thinking. That
Okay.
there's not a lot of story.
Okay.
So, in this original manga, Samus is somewhere between the ages of 4 and 6. The only time we ever have an age on her. We never have no idea how old she is. Her village is attacked by a bunch of space pirates led by Ridley. Ridley brutally kills her family in front of her and the whole village, and she is saved by the Chozo, which is this race of alien bird people. Okay? That's all we need to know. Alien bird people. Now, they take her in because she now has no home and they would be killing her if they left her there. So they take her in and they figure, okay, well, we might as well try and... Because the Chozo was a race of warriors. But they were also super intelligent, and now they were a dying race, and they had nothing left to try and pass their knowledge on to, so they chose Samus for that. Now, to help her along, they gave her, and this is a stupid excuse for everything, magical alien juice. Whatever this dialysis of the alien Chozo blood,
I was actually
she does
reading
have this blood inside of her.
On the wiki, they injected her with the Chozo DNA.
Even worse.
Is what the wiki said, which is worse than magical blood dialysis.
And she's a human. You know how messed up it is just for our
to
humans?
transfer blood
yeah,
to
just
another
transfer
human?
normal human blood into another human. Even if it's the same type, sometimes we get issues. So this is so not okay. This is not kosher. Samus should be like convulsing, fuming up some suds in the mouth and dying. But
Well, a lot of times that's a little volatile. You turn yellow and you slowly die. It's not like
okay, fine, put the science to it, whatever. But anyway, she somehow survives this, and over the years of growing up, she does nothing but train. And that's why she's like so fit and so strong, and she can jump around really high with this super heavy suit on her.
Yeah.
It looks heavy, we'll talk about it later. But So she's super strong.
I'm gonna go with 1 point. She probably like joined the circus to figure out how to become a contortionist.
I don't maybe, but there's no circus on
Chozo Circus
SR 388. But anyway, so super strong, and I think we got like a little bit of a cheat of saying she's got this whatever blood in her veins and whatever DNA, whatever that actually is gonna do. But anyway, so another thing you already pointed out, something very weird that people talk about all the time with Samus, and they're like, this is even possible, the morph ball. So, Kim, so briefly let us know what you found on the morph ball. I know Kim looked up the morph ball, I looked up something else that's gonna be fun
I was
for
actually
later.
really disappointed. We're looking up the morph ball size. I thought it was a lot smaller than it actually
Yeah,
is.
I was surprised too. So hold on, you would expect, now I can't do a visual because it's a podcast, but I would expect that a morph ball's diameter is gonna be somewhere around like 1.5 feet. Like really small, because this thing, you see it in the game, it's this tiny little ball and you roll around through puzzles and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. I actually even saw a GIF of her doing the transformation sequence in Prime, and it is actually as big as it looks.
It is. That's the thing. I went back and thought about it. Like, it's weird because the camera in the 3D games, camera moves in all the time, so it looks smaller than it is.
Right.
And then in the puzzle games, the side scrollers, you're a sprite, and if you look at how tall you are, the morph ball is almost half your height.
Right.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge.
So, according to the, what is that, Wikitroid site, I think is what it's called?
It's some fandom,
website for Metroid.
I think it is Wikitroid is what they call it, yeah.
So, according to that, it is 0.8 meters in diameter.
How many feet is that?
So that, well, inches,
how many inches are we at?
Inches-wise, it's 31.5 inches.
31 in...
It's big. It's
Get
like,
some measuring tape and hold that out in front of you. That's just the width of this thing, okay? The diameter.
That is kind of if you don't own a measuring tape but own a giant pickup truck tire, it's about the size of a pickup truck tire, the diameter.
Just the diameter of it.
So, it's totally feasible. Like, that's not an
I wouldn't be able to fit in it, though. Because
but I mean,
I can't even straighten any of my legs, but that's just because I've got hamstrings that are tighter than steel cables.
It still takes some serious like contortion skills to fit into that, but I mean, we looked at her size, she's 6'3", so...
But even the 6'3", I want to point this thing out really quick. We also found, this is confusing, the size and weight that we do have for Samus, I forget exactly where it originated from, maybe one of the instruction booklets. It was some instruction booklet, but later... those numbers were reused to describe the size and weight of the power suit. So that was clearly Samus wearing it, which means she's actually shorter and lighter than we thought.
Right.
So it's even easier for her to fit in there.
But I mean, if you look at the power suit, like I think of like the Prime one, it's pretty form-fitting versus like... I don't know, I think of like the various suits
around like the
less,
waist it is, because it's got to bend a lot there.
But like the power suit,
you're talking like those
more...
shoulder pads that keep getting bigger and bigger.
Well, that's like the various suit, right?
Yes. Okay. So power suit
so
has
I think
just the flat shoulders.
The power suit seems a little bit more form-fitting,
yeah.
So I'm gonna go with that. But yeah, it completely seems possible. I have looked at so many images of contortionists fitting into small cubes and shapes.
I'm so disappointed because like there's so many memes and jokes making fun of how impossible the morph ball should be. But that's the first thing we swat aside, like, no, that's totally feasible. It's way bigger than you think it is.
It's
you
just
could
bigger
probably
than
fit
you
into
think
it.
it is, and that's the big thing. Like, if you look at how big it actually is, all right, sure, that's doable.
Like, visualizing it in front of me, that's so much bigger than I thought. I even thought of another issue with the morph ball. Can you imagine how dizzy you would get? Of, like, flailing around. You couldn't possibly do it. But since it's so big, you could actually fit another sphere inside of that she's actually inside of, and that one... how do you describe those balls that like
should be like gyroscopically
like a
stable?
Yeah, a gyroscopically stable ball inside of the one that's moving on the outside.
Right, and that makes sense. And I wish I had.
It could roll by magnetism or something. She can control it just from the inside.
Like even in like World War II and stuff like that, they have areas inside fighter pilot planes where you sit just to shoot things. That are probably about the size of that,
if not smaller.
If not smaller.
I've seen some really tiny ones that are even smaller, and she's gonna need some controls in there too because inside the morph ball she can jump,
right,
pretty freaking high. She can choose to drop bombs. Also, power bombs are a thing,
right?
So she can take off at a crazy high speed in this thing and then stop with like the boost ball. So she has so many weird upgrades just with the morph ball, and she can survive inside of it. There's got to be another casing inside that's protecting her and not getting her sick, because she goes in, it comes out, goes in, comes out, and you need to do that for boss fights sometimes.
Right. And I think it's totally sure she would need more flexibility probably still than the average person to fit in there.
But she trained her entire life since she was 4.
She's trained her entire life, and it's not as small as we thought. And like I said,
alien DNA.
And alien DNA.
She doesn't even need that little cheat.
And like I'm saying, I'm pretty sure people who were involved in, the aviation during the wars and stuff like that had to fit into spaces that small. So I don't think it's totally impossible.
It wasn't even really a cockpit. It was more like the things you're describing.
It's like
a itty-bitty little turret areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you look at them nowadays in museums and you're like, you can't even fit a toddler in that thing.
Right.
How on earth did you put a human inside that thing? And they were somehow,
they were able to operate, in
a giant rumbling, rackety,
Yeah, I don't think people had hearing after that.
So with advanced technology, easily she can fit in there, which is crazy. That's the thing we toss aside.
Now, I don't know where the bombs are coming from, but that's more like the infinite ammo kind of thing.
Right, that's infinite ammo thing. But in Prime, they were actually light-based. It was like a shockwave that blew up.
Right.
In the 2D games, they tend to be like a literal bomb you can see her dropping.
Oh, yeah. And since we were talking about Smash Brothers,
you can see them in Smash Brothers as well. So, since that made too much sense, how about we move on to the utter ludicrousy that is the gravity suit.
We didn't even talk about the fact that how the suit would transform into the morph ball.
True. Okay, so if you just want to talk about that's just the power suit and weird stuff that the power suit can do.
But every suit can do the morph ball.
Yes, that's why I said the power suit. Because the other suits are upgrades to this. So, for example, quickly, the Varia suit is an upgrade to the power suit. You recognize it as the shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads!
Which is also super weird. Samus is like the only video game character I know where they show the icons of what the character looks like and they advertise her as like the middle of the road.
Upgrade.
The middle of the road upgrades. Not the beginning and not the final. Usually it's one of those two. This is the middle of the road. Why?
Usually I feel like it's just the beginning. I don't feel like you see the final. I think of like Breath of the Wild. You always see like the blue tunic and the hood and stuff like that. Stuff you get in the beginning, right?
It depends on how you played that game. But still, yeah, it's all over the place. No one chooses the middle. Like, so
right, it's very weird.
But anyway, so the Varia suit, for that example, the only upgrade it is giving to the power suit is the fact that it is resistant to extreme heat damage.
I was gonna say, it gets bigger shoulders.
And awesome shoulder pads. She suddenly becomes an amazing defensive linebacker. But other than that, she's also resistant to extreme heat.
Right.
Which, we don't know the exact temperatures inside Norfair or Magmore Caverns. I'm gonna go with somewhere between hot and really hot. Considering how she steps in it in the power suit, and she will die in seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that is hot. I mean, I have lit my glove on fire at work before, and unless you get that off and out of there, it's hot.
She never told me that before.
It stays that.
All right. But anyway, yes, it is.
Fire is dangerous.
Extremely hot in these areas. So whatever it is, I expect it to be like inside of a kiln or something. And she's walking around it because it's something you would walk into. You could see, even in Samus Returns, they updated the graphic effects. If you say open a door but don't go in it, and the other side is hot, the heat will come pouring out of the room visually. So
that's cool.
You'll see, don't go in there, that's a hot room. So I'm assuming it's crazy temperatures, and there are metals out there that can resist crazy high temperatures, but it sounds like to solve the way the power suit can change into a morph ball, we need a particular kind of metal that Kim found out for us. And before we even get there, I'm pretty sure these two can't be the same metal.
They cannot.
Because here, you got to think of the power suit. Obviously, you think of what you know Samus looks like. That somehow turns into a sphere. She's no transformer, right? You can't just, like, pop, like a toy, pop the little limbs off and just curl it up into a ball or something. Like, it somehow turns...
Like, you watch the animation on Prime, it's, like, flipping, and then
she, like, flips and spins, and it somehow shocks itself into a ball.
Right.
A perfect sphere. How?
So... I was really excited because the first thing I typed in liquid metal, first thing it pops up, bam, like some engineering website comes up, liquid metal. What do you know?
It's always those engineers.
So, Liquid metal, I think this was discovered back in like 2013, so they're still... It's kind of old news at this point.
That's kind of recent, though.
Recent, but kind of old news at the same time.
I mean, for properties of a metal, I would expect that we would find stuff like that a lot earlier.
So this liquid metal, at room temperature, holds its original shape, but when applied heat to it, it'll melt and turn into liquid, but if you remove the heat from it, it'll go back to its original shape again. It retains that original shape.
Okay, so hold on. Wait a minute.
It remembers.
Hold up. Say I have this sculpted in the shape of, let's just say, Samus Aran's power suit, okay?
Right.
I have it sculpted in this shape. You're telling me if I shock it, which melts it, because that's just enough.
I didn't even go into that yet, about shocking.
Okay, whatever. Say I heat it up, okay? I just heat it up. I heat it up into a ball.
Yes.
Okay? I heat this up into a ball, and then all of a sudden I just let go and let it go back to room temperature? Are you telling me it's just gonna zhwink and go right back to the power suit shape?
Yes.
What?
Exactly what this metal does.
That's ridiculous.
So I was watching videos of it in a lab, and you can control the shape of this liquid metal by using electricity to essentially heat it up. I think it said it was called like a negative electric current, I think. It wants to avoid that, so you use it to kind of force it into different shapes, and they're making it do like little S shapes and heart shapes in this conductor, and then you take it out of the heat and it's bam, back to whatever its original shape was. It wants to retain that form.
Is that form always the same shape though?
As far as I was reading, yes.
So like a crystallized shape.
Right.
So it's not the shape of a power suit.
But I'm saying, okay, somehow alien magical technology.
Fine. Okay, here we go. Okay, here, to be fair,
finds a way to put it
2013 humans could figure out that they can move the metal around. I'm expecting in,
Cosmic Era 2000, I think
20XX, the Chozo are able to, because they're so advanced, they're able to utilize this thousands of years ahead of us, and they find some way to...
So what you do,
it doesn't sound impossible. That's what we're getting at.
So
it doesn't sound impossible. Just we're not there yet.
It is power suit shape. That is its original shape. Now you can apply the electricity to it, make it into the morph ball.
Because it's resisting the electricity. So
if you can continue to use that electricity in that shape, but that keeps it in a liquid shape. So I don't really know if you could change it. You would need like a coating. Solid
maybe you have a coating that goes on top of this that moves with it. I'm not sure how it would function.
I don't know if that would just then make it into another. If you could somehow program this metal, because they were actually talking about using the metal to how to program it to do certain things to retain two different shapes, I guess, is what the Chozo have come up with. You retain power suit shape, and then you retain morph ball shape by using this electrical current to change between one and the other.
Okay.
And I was kind of watching that GIF again. I don't know. I was just staring at this GIF so long of her transforming
into the morph
ball.
There is electricity, is there not?
Yeah, it's light.
You can see a shock of electricity buzzing around her when she does it.
So I was like, all right. I'll go with that. I'll give him that.
I'm kind of thinking I'll give you that one. That one, because this is like a future space thing, and if we are seeing hints of us figuring out how to even get that to happen now, I'll give you that one.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that can
just because this is just because this is a sci-fi future game anyway. It's not like we're talking about say like Solid Snake. If we were doing someone who has...
Oh, clearly he has dates. This is when...
Yes, those are dates, and it's like clearly happening in history, but he still has ridiculous stuff. We might do Snake later.
Oh, yeah, I totally
But, still, like with Samus, the future sci-fi stuff, I'll give it a bit of a pass, because we can see how that could be possible, which is weird, but it's somehow possible. Now, can we move on?
Now, can we break this? Let's break this.
Yes, I'm going to completely break it. So far, this video has just been, Samus can happen. Samus can happen. Other than, of course, the infinite ammo thing, which we got another video on, which I think we ended up determining that is possible as well. But, okay, so we ran around, we got the Vari suit, and then we're going to get a certain upgrade called the Gravity suit. Do you know everything the Gravity suit can do, Kim? Because it's insane.
Not really, but I thought you had a little bit more on the Vari suit, though, too, so...
Well, what mostly matters is the Gravity suit. The Gravity suit's doing some things I think you think are the Vari suit.
Oh, okay.
So,
explain Gravity
just
suit,
a list of everything that the Gravity suit does, okay? So, it gives you the highest physical damage reduction in the game. Typically, it's your last suit you'll get. Usually, there's just 3. You get your opening one, you get a Vari suit, you get a Gravity suit.
Okay, and we're just ignoring Prime, because Prime, I feel like you get a lot of suits in.
No, in Prime. The first Prime game, it was the exact same. Normal,
I have not played
Varia,
any of the games.
Gravity. The second Prime game was different. Then you got the dark suit, then later you got the light suits.
That's what I'm thinking about, dark suit, light suit.
And also later in Prime, you get the Phazon suit.
Those are all the suits I'm thinking of, because I watched you play a lot of
the Fusion suit isn't really a suit. She kind of got corrupted by the X-Parasites.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, so that's different. But just
Alien
talking
magic.
about suits that she uses
regularly
from
as a staple.
Chozo technology, they intended on her using this.
This is the staple of what you're talking about. Okay.
It's generally the final suit.
Okay.
So, you got the highest physical damage reduction. So, I mean, of course that's a video gamey thing, but remember that means this metal has got to be, like, impervious.
Yeah.
It's crazy powerful. And if it's still morphing, like we're talking about, I don't know how it's going to pull that off. Now, I'm going to get back to this. We're going to talk about how weird these are later. I'm just listing the things.
Okay.
It also negates all resistance in water. Completely. So if you imagine, like, you can run from, say, like, your mailbox down the street.
Okay.
And you tried to do that underwater.
Yeah.
What's going to happen underwater? You're going to move super slow. Imagine trying to jump underwater. You basically can't. That happens in Metroid.
Yep.
Samus doesn't know how to swim. She just walks on the ground. So a simpler solution to learning how to swim, apparently, is to find some crazy suit that breaks physics and run in the water.
I want to test this now in Smash Brothers. I'm just going to go throw her out in the water and see how long she lasts.
You got to equip her with that gravity suit. That's a different color palette option. So I wish that would actually change things. Wouldn't that be great? Like, if you chose the gravity suit, she would actually, like, just drop through the water. Anyway, it also prevents all lava damage. So just because you have Varia suit doesn't mean that you're preventing that lava damage. You can go in the hot room.
That's just like heat resistance.
That's heat resistance. So you can walk through the hot room, but if you trip in the lava in there, you're gonna start boiling. If you're wearing gravity suit, you can walk into the hot room and walk through the lava.
Okay.
Now, I don't think that counts every game. Some games, they don't do that. Like, I don't think Prime does that. It's most of the 2D ones, because that's like a platforming trick. You know, like, okay, well, I can't go through the clearly dangerous lava, or sometimes it's acid that it repels as well. I can't walk through this, but if I have that suit, I'd be able to get that power up.
I think the things I've seen the most of are probably the Prime series. I don't think I've seen as much of the 2D ones. And when you
Even though she played some of Super Metroid.
And when you were playing Fusion, I just heard terrifying noises coming from it, and I didn't want to see it. So
that game's like a straight up horror game. It's wonderful. So anyway, it also, we're getting weirder, negates extreme gravity or a complete lack of gravity.
Sure, that makes sense. Why not?
Okay,
yep,
so you're just yawning your way through this, like, oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah, sure. So that means, like, if you are under extreme gravity pressure or in the vacuum of space, she can just basically snap her fingers and start walking on whatever she wants like normal.
Okay. Like magnetics or what? I mean,
I will get into that.
Okay.
Good call there. So other than that, she also has improved underwater visibility and, of course, the incredible maneuverability underwater. As if she's not even underwater at all.
What changes the visibility part? I don't understand that.
Basically, think of the Prime games again. You're looking through her visor when you're seeing through the game. It's really hard to see depth because you're just looking through the water. Basically, the visor gets a little bit of an upgrade and you can see farther.
Oh, okay.
Because they're intending on you playing platforms now in the water, which you weren't really supposed to before because you're... Get out. You can't swim.
Right.
But, and of course, when Samus learns how to swim, she really just learns how to run and jump in the water. She's crazy, and I guess there was no water on the planet she came from.
Yeah,
so
I still think there's a lot of damage to the frontal lobe, but whatever.
I mean, she did take a pretty big smack in the beginning of Metroid Prime to lose all of her upgrades. So, maybe. But anyway, I'm going to tackle these 3 things really quickly, or hopefully quickly.
Right.
So, let's do the easy one first, the heat resistance. Okay, so this is probably the easiest one to rule out because the various suit effects allow Samus to enter those hot rooms. Now, the gravity suit basically is letting her do literal backstrokes in the lava, and she's fine. Now, lava, I'm trying to figure this out because acid could be anything, and I don't know what alien acid might be that's eating through this, but
I don't know.
I'm gonna expect that surviving the lava is more impressive, and if it can survive that lava, that acid's probably not gonna get through, unless, of course, it's, like alien blood, and it just, like, eats through your ship.
Like Ridley Scott, right? I mean, that's what we're doing.
Ridley Scott's where it comes from. So, lava's temperature is somewhere around 1,300 to 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. So, there's actually a lot of metals that exist that can withstand that kind of heat.
Okay.
They're all kind of the opposite of what you talked about.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Because think about it. If your metal, I don't even remember what it was called anymore.
I actually don't think I can find a name for it. It was just like type in liquid metal.
Oh,
bam! It's
okay.
it's an alloy of some sort. I think it was like a mixture of like nickel and something else.
All right. Anyway, the reason that can change shape so easily is because its melting point is really low. Mm-hmm. We need to survive in backstrokes of boiling lava. We need a melting point to be so incredibly high that it's not getting through this. And also, we do have crazy cooling factors that can possibly even keep a human alive that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
But of course, it would be extraordinarily expensive.
Because it's like, okay, you keep the metal from melting, but you still got to keep the human inside from dying of heat stroke.
Think of it like this. You know how we have kilns for either firing pottery or for glass blowing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can stand on the other side of that and touch the metal, and it's not going to like set you ablaze or anything. Right. So imagine that, but just shape it backwards. Right. Okay. You'll be fine.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, you can't like hang out there forever.
Nah.
So, but still, it will protect her from that. So, I mean, that one.
Okay.
I'll
go with it, but it can't be made of the same metal that I am theorizing.
No.
To be the more suit, because, like I was saying, higher temperatures it becomes liquid. So
unless there's some way that you gave it a tremendous shock to change into the morph ball, and then if that's the case, even if you were able to give the suit she's wearing a tremendous shock and it didn't kill her, she can't do it while she's in the magma, which you can do in the games.
You can do morph ball in the magma.
You can in the game.
Okay.
But here I'm saying, if you want to change the suit shape, you can't do it in the magma. Right?
Right, yeah.
Unless it, like, this metal is, like, so miraculous and, like, she stored so much tremendous energy to immediately overheat everything to change the shape and then overheat it again. That's insane.
It totally doesn't work. I mean, if you watch, like I said, just type liquid metal into Google, it's like one of the first things that comes up.
We'll take your word for it, Kim.
It's really cool watching it. Sorry.
All right.
Really cool.
I have two more things that are just totally busted. Remember that water resistance?
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
No. Okay, so water provides about 12 times the resistance of moving through air.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know that doesn't sound like much, but
every time through water,
yes,
it's a lot.
Every time you multiply it, it's getting like twice as big. It multiplies out. It's crazy.
This is alien water. It's not as thick.
But no, you can't even say that, because when she has the normal suits, she goes through the water as if it were actual water. Like, the water effects are really well done. She goes really slow as if she's like trying to trot through the water. But somehow she puts this gravity suit on and she just runs on through it. Like nothing.
It's good.
So the problem is there is absolutely nothing in physics you can do about this. At all. I spent way too much time thinking this over. It is completely impossible.
I mean, usually if there was something like that, it'd be coming from NASA. NASA would let us know. But
I read a bunch of stuff from NASA, and they tried doing all sorts of crazy stuff to like move stuff faster through liquids.
Yep.
No, they just can't.
Okay, cool.
I mean, other than like changing the shape of it to try and like, think of like the shape of a dolphin. Obviously, it's like trying to maximize
hydrodynamically designed.
Right, it's something to take advantage of speed that you want to get in water, but the thing is, like, all the force that's going to require to try and move this giant, bulky power suit through the water, it's not built anything like a sailfish. It's not going to move. Right. It's not going to work. And there's nothing you can do to change the resistance of the water. That's what the suit does.
Right.
So she can jump like normal if she was not in water. It's just, no. And can you believe, I think the gravity thing is even worse.
That's really bad, though.
That'd be even worse. Now, it does different things in different games. Like it's mostly Other M's fault for making this act up really weird. Because of the if you're in zero gravity, all of a sudden, thunk, she'll land on the ground. Because she just does that in Other M. I don't know. Other
I was
M's.
gonna say, can we
Other M
even,
is the special one.
can we even go by Other M? I mean, now it's no longer the newest Metroid game out, so
That doesn't matter. It's still canon. It happened. Oh, that happened. So anyway, the gravity resistance. So, artificial gravity is a thing.
Yeah.
However, it's only possible through the use of like massive spinning spacecraft, which also don't even.
Because you're like creating your own gravity in that case.
Yeah, it's not
right?
real gravity. It's actually centrifugal force that you're feeling.
Centrifugal
And you're feeling it
so
against you.
So it's like a G-force thing.
Right.
You're using
And don't even try and say that we can try and do this on a super tiny scale. It's not possible. Even if, say, you were in a spaceship the size of like a house, right?
Right.
Which would, be not much bigger size volume-wise than like the ISS, for example. Say we started spinning the ISS, right? To try and get that kind of gravity, fake gravity. Okay. The centrifugal force, because it's so small, is going to feel different for the astronauts' feet than it is their head. They're going to get really disoriented and sick, even if it was donut-shaped.
I get that.
So it's going to... And imagine jumping inside of that. You're going to suddenly go to almost zero gravity and then eventually fall back down and go quicker, and your feet are going to feel it.
Exactly.
That's weird. So it would totally not function on a small scale. So even if Samus was somehow, I don't know, super spinning really quickly. And
that doesn't even make sense. I feel like
a screw attack. I didn't even go into the screw attack.
Oh my gosh. Going on such a large scale, what I think of like, when I think of G-force things like artificial gravity, stuff like that, I think, whenever the last time you were on like a spinning ride or something, and you like slam into the sides.
Those spinning rides are that they strap you to the walls and they spin it and you can feel yourself get heavier.
Yeah.
It's the same effect.
Those are fun.
Okay. So, yeah, in a single suit though, goodbye logic.
I don't see that happening.
No, logic is gone. Unless, this is a serious stretch, the entire suit could be using a trick of magnetism. Just for the gravity thing. Forget the water. That's not possible. Just kill your dreams on the water thing right now. That is not possible. But the magnetism might help her with the weird gravity trick.
Okay.
So
that was my guess when you said that. I was like,
which was a good guess.
Magnetic.
So, and this is still kind of a push. Like, we've got particles that we are still trying to, one, prove the existence of, and then two, try and figure out how we can take advantage of them, called gravitons, which we could find some way to maybe do crazy weird stuff like this, but not in the water. So anyway, I got a quote here from interestingengineering.com. I'm going to read this here. It's about the magnetism.
That's where I got the liquid metal thing from.
Kim didn't quote him.
Interestingengineering.com.
I quoted from them. See, I remember my sources.
I might have quoted them. I just didn't read it.
How would I actually get to this?
Okay,
You should have read it. Anyway, diamagnetism might be another potential solution for providing artificial gravity. Researchers have amazingly been able to levitate mice by using high-powered magnetic fields. Their experiments were able to simulate around 1G of Earth's gravity. Pretty cool. These kinds of magnets need very expensive cryogenics to keep them superconductive, however, not to mention the power needed. So...
that poor confused mouse.
Yeah! I mean, if you could get to the point of simulating around 1G of Earth gravity, I'm hoping, because it's a magnetic field, that's either adding or repelling. Right. So that would basically, because they're saying it's levitating a mouse, that's repelling 1G. If you repel 1G, you float.
But you need to do that above and below, too. It can't just be like a...
maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that one. Because, like, it reminds me of some crazy dude who totally not...
Florida man?
Credible. No! Where did Florida man come from?
You said some crazy dude.
No, we can't really, until we get like serious facts behind this, I can't really say that it's for sure or not, but this engineer who claims that he worked at Area 51, reverse engineering alien spacecrafts.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you can already hear, take this what you will.
Where we get space studies from, right?
But this is what the guy was describing, that these ships that they were working on were using this new element that can only be created in zero gravity. So they don't understand why they even had it here.
Okay.
And this element, it's, I think it's 115 on the periodic table. Ironically named unobtainium. Probably heard of unobtainium. Yeah. People like to say it incorrectly like that because it's just funny. Because the idea is it cannot stay together while you're trying to fuse it or create it with gravity active. It just doesn't work. So that is actually true. That everything else here is up to this guy's whatever he was saying. He's saying he couldn't quite get it completely figured out because his story's long and crazy. But this material supposedly is the reason why it doesn't work with gravity. It is so heavy. It is kind of the opposite of heavy in terms of how we describe it. It is so heavy, it goes the other way. It's almost like repelled from gravity, which is one of the reasons why it can't hold itself together.
My brain cannot comprehend that.
Okay, imagine this then. So say this is a fuel source. Okay. And you want your car to work like a helicopter. Okay. So what you would do is expel enough of this stuff. However you do that, this, like I said, they supposedly couldn't figure this out because I don't know what to take of this guy at his word or not because it sounds crazy and awesome and I hope it's real, but once again, it's a guy, I don't know. Anyway, he did actually work there. They did prove that. But, so if you would use this, say you want your car to just go straight up at, say like 10 miles an hour or something. Okay. You would expel more than 1G down. Okay. Right? So you're basically fighting against the weight of the car, right?
So you're using the weight of this
stuff
force
to fall in both directions.
Okay.
You're falling down to Earth because Earth is gonna pull you. Right. But you're also falling away from Earth because of this stuff.
You're using this
you somehow use this to fall in the other direction. So, I mean, if in some crazy world, like, okay, to be fair, we can't really do a lot of experiments in zero gravity. Like, with huge labs to try and make this stuff. We can only do so much that we can send up to the ISS and even get them to work with.
And even that's getting us incredible results.
It is. And we're getting really far with that. But there's still so much we can't do. And I wouldn't be too surprised in, like, the next 50 years we find some way to get more of those elements that we can't get on the periodic table because we're going to be in space more. And then we might be able to figure out crazy ways we can actually utilize things that we can create in space but could not use on Earth.
Yes.
Just because of the gravity. So, in which case, I mean, say that element is usable, that part of the gravity suit could actually work. Okay. Can you imagine that? You wear a suit. You could pretty much just snap your fingers and, I don't know, jump as if you were on the moon. Right. Or just fly around based on how much of you had. Because that would explain like how these ships would just like blast off.
I mean, it's probably going to be more like the size of an astronaut suit, not like the size of a power suit.
Of course, if you have that technology, why is Samus' ship using, actual thrusters and
because it looks
jets?
Cool.
It does look cool. It wouldn't make sense if it's just like floating and it just plops itself down. It does still float though.
That would make her an alien.
When she parks it in some games, it still just floats. No exhaust, it just floats.
Parking.
I don't know, but that could be something towards the magnetism part. They could just have futuristic magnetism expertise that it's just beyond us right now.
That's what I would expect, magnetism kind of thing going on with that. So
it's still very possible. Other than the water thing.
That's just impossible.
That's just, no, I tried, I like, seriously, that, I know we spent the least amount of time in the entire episode on that, but I spent the most amount of the time of this research
confirming that couldn't happen?
No, trying to find a way to make it work.
Oh, okay. So
because everything else was turning out to work. It
couldn't even be like a different type of liquid that with like applied certain pressure to it.
Because here's the problem. She jumps in the same water with the Vari suit and the power suit, and it is water.
Okay.
It's not like the.
I want it to happen now. We made everything.
I know everything else worked. I feel like a failure, but. At the same time,
I feel like a failure.
Even more so than I normally do on any given day.
I feel like a failure. I couldn't make Samus's suit work.
Makes sense. It's only with the gravity suit and only underwater. Give me a break. Because actually, come on, like gravity suit. Normally, I thought that's just bogus. That there's no way it'll work. But still,
But that's still kind of like a hypothetical thing, almost. Like we have this element. Yeah. Sort of.
I mean, we just. Even if you use that
Chozo alien magic,
like maybe you could have her like try and fall in the direction that she's trying to walk in the water with the element 115 stuff,
I don't think that...
it still wouldn't.
Or is it repelling the water from around her?
I tried going that route. Okay. I tried that. Because even if she was falling forward, think about it. How much tremendous gravity you have to do that. You know how fast you fall down underwater?
Yeah.
You basically don't.
Right,
so,
right.
Like,
because that's what I would think. Maybe the suit's just using the force to repel the water off of her, and
that's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah, because that would maybe. I don't know how you could actually do that, but here, in Other M, because for some reason the artistic designer didn't want the suit to turn purple, and shame on them for their bad decisions, because purple's where it's at. Purple is Samus's ultimate color. Anyway, so
I don't even know what the purple suit is. Is that the gravity suit?
That's the gravity suit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about this whole time.
I was imagining the light suit for some reason.
Oh, the light suit's... No, that's the white... okay.
I have never played a Metroid game.
Even though I've explained to her what all the suits are in the Smash Brothers color palette swaps and what they all do.
Multiple times.
Yes, multiple times, and it's still not happening. Anyway, so... in Other M, instead of changing the color, what they did was they made it have this weird purple aura around the edges. So it kind of looked like there was this...
So it is, like, repelling.
It looked like there was this distorted field around her, which has to be happening. You know, because if she's basically just telling gravity, I don't care what you say, I'm going this way. Then, okay. Because I think the moment she turns it on in Other M is actually kind of cool. There's, like, this huge hole in the ship. She's being yanked out, like, zero gravity. Everything's being sucked out. She just basically just... thunk, turns it on, and just starts walking away. You're like, oh god. Actually, I think it's a running sequence because you're still
That makes me a little sad that it doesn't just turn purple, though.
I know, that's pretty dumb.
I like the aura idea, but I also would want it to be purple.
But to the aura, that only happens in Other M. And I don't even think she runs through water in Other M. She might. I didn't spend that much time trying to 100% that game.
Anyway, this episode's probably getting way too long.
It's actually our normal length, which another thing we wanted to try and make these...
That's unfortunate.
We wanted to try and make these 30 minutes to make them shorter for you guys, but in the end, like, Do You Physics is always, like, so big. They're still podcasts, so whatever. You can listen to them if you wanted to. But
I mean, it takes me about an hour to mow the lawn, an hour to listen to podcasts. That's about what it's at.
I guess there you got that then. But anyway, Samus does a bunch of other crazy things. Like, one thing I never really got was, how can she be constantly shooting, over 100 missiles that are somehow about the size of her arm cannon, but also stored in her arm cannon? How is she storing all of these? I don't know. Infinite Ammo episode. Go check that one out.
She did a bunch of other things, but these were the ones we felt like we could science the most.
Yeah, but even still, all the other ones, from what I checked through, are really not that ridiculous. Like, even think of the screw attack. If she's really as strong and limber as she is, and she's on an alien planet, she can dump and do somersaults, what's the big deal of the screw attack showing up where now she's got an electric aura around her and that damages things? Nothing was really as absolutely ludicrous as what we looked into, and especially we knew everyone wanted to talk about the morph ball, and I thought the morph ball was going to be the whole episode.
I didn't realize how big it was.
And that busted everything.
And now that I know how big it is, I'm not that concerned anymore.
It's almost disappointing that one was possible, yet the gravity suit is what blew it. I don't know. But anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to join us next time for some more game science. Be sure to follow us either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you all in the next episode of Do You Physics.
Bye-bye.